Hello, Hillary.
Oh my goodness, you started an episode.
I know, I'm really turning a new leaf with the 33rd episode.
Who knew all it took was 33 episodes?
My God, you're right. Well, this is a good one to turn a new leaf on because we have a very exciting guest, Philana Bouvier.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
I think so.
I think so. We'll double check that with her.
But, I'm learning all our fun guests we actually meet, like, in social events. Mm-hmm. And then we just, after a few glasses of wine, convince them to come on the podcast.
Well, and you also hijack their phone, and present 5 stars to the podcast, and follow everything.
Oh, I absolutely do.
Which is a technique.
But, it does take a little persuasion to convince someone to come over to your home and record the podcast. So they have to like us a little bit.
That's a good point. That's the tough part.
Well, stay tuned, everyone, for another fantastic episode.
Looking forward to it.
Hello, everybody, and we're back for another fantastic episode
of 911 Wine, the podcast that Napa Valley didn't know it needed.
And we still keep giving it to them.
They still don't need it.
So we have a very special guest today with over 2 decades of experience. She has been recognized as an industry leader and champion of diversity and women and Demeine Estates president.
Welcome to Philana Bouvier.
Oh,
did I get it right?
Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
That was my big piece of the pronunciation.
Right?
No, thank you.
Your credentials, though, I could have kept going on and on and on.
Well, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here, and I love just spending time with some great people, 2 great people, so thank you.
Well, before the show, we were talking about all the exciting things in St. Helena and what makes this place special. And I guess we'll start off with asking, what brought you to St. Helena, Philana? Besides the amazing police log.
Oh, yes. Well, I work with Carlton McCoy, who is a phenomenal CEO of the Lawrence Wine Estates and also of our company, and I'm just honored. I consider it a gift to work with him. I had the great opportunity to meet him through a recruiter at the time when I was working at the wholesaler. I used to work at R&DC, and I've been in the wholesale business for almost 20 years.
Nice.
And it was serendipitous when we met. And very special because I found a leader that is not only extremely compassionate, but fast-moving, direct, and no nonsense, which is, the characters. If you were to character Demeine Estates, that's who we are, and extremely nimble. And he's a builder. So I was, very excited to be able to be introduced to him and to work with him.
Nice. Well, we had Carlton on podcast, and I echo all of that. He was so much fun, great sense of humor.
I know.
And as a philosopher.
Yes.
Right? We had some really philosophical discussions.
Deep
thoughts on podcasts and humanity.
Yeah, he's a deep person, but he's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
So he's not one of those people, he doesn't take himself too seriously, which is I think he's extremely humble. And he also comes from a great deal of experience. So when you hear him talk, what he says, he means. So he's really fantastic in that way.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, do you have you heard about this podcast before?
I have. Yeah, you all are actually well known.
Pretty well known.
I am very, very honored to be here. To be a guest. That's a big deal for me.
We have enough space to slip fit you in.
I know. I was I know there was a wait list, so I wanted to make sure that I was stoked to get on it. So I wanted to say thank you. Nice. But I know you all are the hot ticket in town, so thank you.
Well, we are. It's definitely hot. It's actually 100 degrees out today, so there's probably a ticket around here somewhere, at least on the police log. What do you have, Phil?
So we're going to be doing June 2022 and then June 2007 just because it seemed like a good year to do.
Great. Good job.
You like that intro?
Really I love the police log.
Yeah.
Who got in trouble?
Exactly. So we have a report of suspicious man in a reflective vest parked outside Charles Avenue home.
When was this?
This was at 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
I feel like he's like a PG&E worker or something.
Probably.
I mean, most criminals and burglars don't wear reflective gear.
He's probably not doing anything wrong. Or that would be a great disguise to do something wrong.
To wear reflective gear?
Yeah. Reflective gear and a clipboard, I think you could really go wherever you wanted.
Well, I mean, there's no lights outside in the dark, so wouldn't you want to wear reflective? You'd be killed.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, have you seen the video ever where if you carry a ladder, you can get in anywhere?
Yeah,
so there's guys that like carry a ladder into Disneyland and they just like let them through. So we should get 911 reflective vests.
Slow down.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Thank
You can do visors.
Yeah.
That's good branding.
The like rip-off pants we could get with the reflective.
Holy smokes. If anyone wants to sponsor us,
you can do rollerblades.
Oh.
Rollerblading would be cool.
And then we'll definitely get more police-like entries as I like
yeah,
roll into
bring
traffic.
it back. Yeah.
Speaking of, I don't know what. That was
a great
segue.
That was a good
Usually
segue.
they're good, but this is a funny one. So June 2nd, this is back in 2007. A female reports 3 teens under the Sulphur Creek Bridge near Main Street have a handgun and are wearing red bandanas over their faces. Officers responded, located 5 subjects who are high school students filming a class project.
That was St. Helena High School, right?
Yeah. So do we think that was a real gun? Because that's still very possible.
Probably not.
Could have been a toy, maybe a water gun.
Maybe they were doing like Romeo and Juliet. Wasn't that like a school project?
Sure.
Oh, man. Well, I like this one. So this is interesting. A caller smelled a dead animal near Spring Street. Although there's a dead animal like every day. And an officer checked the area and didn't find any dead animal. And the officer noticed the same odor was in other parts of town as well.
So do we just have
Intense.
like...
I don't know what's going on there.
Well, we need the smell force to go
I
help
feel
us
like
out.
I'm like full of stories today, but in college we had a tree that was very stinky.
Okay.
And so like you knew certain times of the year to avoid certain parts of campus because of this like stinky tree. So maybe we have a stinky
There you go.
tree. I don't know.
And Philana just moved to
As we're moving to that segue, I love that like, I'm in like that category. So thank you.
If you smell anything funky on Adams Street. And tell us about your new office.
Oh, yes. Our new office, which is designed by Weston Lawrence, who is obviously an amazing, we'll talk about a woman leader, amazing person, and an amazing human. Yeah, our offices are actually right in downtown St. Helena.
Cool. And it's right there. It's in the building that was built by the Minnigans, right? Right next to Steve's Hardware.
Yeah, that's right. It's a loft style, but
Cool.
very vogue office, and it's beautiful and modern. And lots of fresh flowers.
Cool.
Yes, we love fresh flowers.
Nice.
I feel like we need to give Weston and Zach a shout out.
Good job.
Yes!
Bringing this all together.
Yes, we love Weston and Zach.
I feel like we all feel that
And
way.
that's how we all met each other.
That's what
That's
I'm
right.
saying,
Exactly.
yeah.
Very,
Bringing
very
us together.
Thank you, Weston and Zach. And fantastic eye for design from Weston. So, yeah, I bet that office looks great.
She's the best. There's no one better.
Cool. Nice. So what is it Demeine Estates does? Tell us about this. This is exciting.
Yes, so Demeine Estates is a sales and marketing organization, and we are a fine wine importer as well.
Cool.
So we do all the selling and marketing for the Lawrence Wine Estates, which is owned by Galen Lawrence. So we have Burgess, Stony Hill, Heights, Inkgrade, Brendel, and a few other exciting projects that are happening.
Cool.
Because our company doesn't stop, and Carlton loves like single vineyard projects,
Yep.
and it's very exciting. And then on top of that, we have 4 new producers that we just announced. La Chablaisienne, which is a beautiful Chablis. They produce 25% of the world's Chablis in Burgundy in France. A Sancerre, Roc de Abbé. A Burgundy Domaine de Monty, and then we just picked up Metzay, which is the #1 Chianti producer. They've been making Chianti for 600 years, called Fonterutoli. And we have a Super Tuscan in Siepe. So we have just a very stunning portfolio, as well as Champagne Le Grajas.
Wow.
Which just scored 95 points with James Suckling. And it's a phenomenal champagne from Chouy. The Blanc de Blanc is delicious. And we should be drinking it right now. And
That's
we will be in the
fantastic.
future from now on. That'll be the official podcast champagne.
You're speaking Hillary's language. So, that's awesome. Now, so are these companies you're importing for, or that you've actually purchased the brands in Domaine?
We've imported. We're
Importers for that.
import
Got
partners.
it.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
correct. And we're continuing. Carlton and Galen are continuing to look at obviously other assets, and they're fantastic at that. And there's more to come with our company. Where if you think about the Lawrence family, they're the 5th largest landowner in Napa. Inkgrade is the largest biodynamic and Demeter approved vineyard in California. Our Inkgrade project. at over 200 acres planted. So we believe in what we're doing, but we also believe in biodynamic farming and our vineyards, and we invest in those vineyards, and that's what is awesome about what Carlton is doing. You know, he's executing this vision, and he's making those decisions, and it's really awesome to see.
Nice. Fantastic. Well, that happened fast. They got to number 5 very quick.
Yeah, in less than 2 years. Less than 2 years.
Wow.
If you think about it. And then Demeine Estates has brought on 4 new producers in less than 6 months. So we're the fastest growing importer, I think, on the planet.
Cool.
I mean, I say that not as that's really a true fact.
Yeah.
The team has done a phenomenal job. It's led by my Senior Vice President of Global Brand Strategy, Scott Diaz. I give him all the credit in the world, and the team does a fantastic job. I cannot be more proud of what we do.
Cool. Congratulations. You are our first importer that we've had on the show.
Oh, cool.
So,
I love it.
Yeah.
So can you give us like a quick rundown on the import business? Like how are the...
Oh my gosh,
I mean,
it's a
your
tough
elevator
business.
pitch.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you...
We represent the world's most respected properties in the world, and we're continuing to represent them. The best is yet to come with Demeine, because we are brand new into this competitive set. We obviously think very highly of our competitors, but we believe that we're going to be the world's best in a very short amount of time. Being an importer is, this business is about relationships, and we want to be able to represent the world's best wines and the world's best restaurants and retailers, and that's what we do. We tell the stories of our winemakers. We represent legacy. We reposition luxury, and we also reposition price points. We're about the premium price points. We will never discount. That's very important, and we will own that luxury price point. That's what Demeine Estates is about. Nice. We do a fantastic job of selling and marketing all of our wines and partners.
Cool. So it's small enough to whereas Demeine is not, but the people you represent are smaller than these huge companies that we see with like in Constellation or other groups where they have so many people that they represent. So you can actually provide some really specific, tailored. It's
very tailored and customized.
Cool.
And every producer that we pick up, there's 2 things that Carlton and myself and Scott Diaz say. The most important is we got to have dinner with you.
Cool.
If we can't have dinner with you and get along like this, then we can't do business with you. So that's the first and foremost thing, right? They got to be good people. Nice. And because life's too short, you got to be able to share a glass of wine together and really enjoy each other's company. And the second is their long-term vision to be, we're family owned. And so you want to respect the values of being a family and respect legacy, and we want long-term partnerships. Yeah. This isn't a hobby for us. We're here to represent. And then on top of that, we have the wholesaler relationships. I come from the wholesale companies, and we want to make sure that the 3-tier system is protected and that we will distribute and represent you to the best of our ability at the highest price point and maximize and optimize that price as much as possible and ensure that your wines are being told the right way to how you want it. Not in the best interest of Demeine, but in the best interest of the winemaker. Because we value what the winemaker does. At the end of the day, it is about the winemaker and the vineyard. It's not about, Demeine Estates we're just there to support.
So your staff training for all of this, the story and the production,
branding,
all that must be
everything.
very, very intense. It must require lots of trips back to Europe.
Yeah, it does. I think I've been to Europe twice already during the height of the pandemic, which was interesting and fun. But we did it. Traveling with Carlton and our team was an adventure because he doesn't stop, so it's really fun. And we're strategizing, and we're in the car. We're trying to get the deals done, and we are very, I think, intentional and thoughtful in our approach. And there's also partners that we choose not to work with, where we'll go down the line and we'll go down that process to see if it's a potential partner. And our team will decide, this actually isn't the right long-term partner for us. Yep. So we say no more than we say yes.
That's good.
I read an article kind of back to the premium price point where you compared luxury wines to Hermes bags.
Yes.
I thought it was like the best comparison.
Hillary was in love immediately. It was so cool.
But for any woman or man that understands, high quality fashion, it makes sense. You're going to buy that nice bottle of champagne because one, it's going to taste good, it's great quality and all these things. And same with the purse. And That's all.
Yeah, no, I love that you say that because it's what you love about that purse, right? Is the attention to detail and the packaging. And the one thing that our teams will never compromise on is packaging and detail, all the way down to the feel of the paper, to the arrival of the box, to the box opening experience, to looking at that package, to the wooden box that we choose, to the etching on the labels. Everything is so carefully done. And so if you look at an Hermes bag, it's one of the most exclusive. I mean, it's very difficult to get, right? It's an allocation.
Just like the podcast long waiting list.
Yeah, there is a wait list to get on this podcast. I will say that there is a wait list. I know that for a fact. Is that you have to, it's quality, right? So we believe in quality versus quantity, and it's about luxury. It's about selling at a luxury level, right? And being able to sell luxury, but in an intentional and genuine way, but also having I think what's more important too is that we are environmentally advanced, right? We believe in biodynamic farming. We have the social standards. We believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those things are all important in forming a company, because when you form a company, you have all those pieces in place, you're legit, right? You're legitimate, because people will do their research and see whether or not these are brands or wineries that people are making up in a laboratory, or there's a real sense of place. And there's a real sense of place with all of our wineries.
Very cool.
I think the power of word of mouth is extremely strong in the wine industry.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think that's huge.
It's a beautiful thing. And I think it's important it reminds you that the relationship is the most important thing, because you can't, if you're disingenuous, you will get called out, which I think is a good thing.
Sure, the consumer's not stupid.
The consumer is not dumb. No.
Speaking of environment,
Nice.
there was some gravel in the street on Cornella Drive. Public Works was en route to clean it up.
Thank you, God.
I like this, the police log.
Isn't it great?
It's fun, yeah.
You got to go back and forth a little bit. No one wants to hear about wine for too long, and no one wants to hear about the police log for too long, so we just bounce back and forth. But it is kind of fun when, let's see, a person goes to the police department to ask them about what they can sell at the farmer's market, and the officer directs them to a website.
Now I want to know what there was.
That was on. That was Thursday, June 23rd. So they were getting ready for the police log, for the
farmer's
market. Yes.
That Friday.
Oh, also, I don't know if you guys knew this, but mountain lions seen in St. Helena. Saturday, July 2nd, a mountain lion was seen lying near a fence on Pope Street. It walked away after a little while. Police contacted the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and then on Sunday, July 3rd, another mountain lion. I don't think it's another. I think it's the same mountain lion. Is near Pope Street property. This one's smaller than the one from Saturday.
Maybe it had a
Wow.
cleanse.
There's two mountain lions, was it maybe?
Apparently.
I like this one. This is on your street. Report of a French bulldog running loose on Hunt Avenue and almost causing 2 accidents as its owner tried to catch it.
Where is JCB?
I know.
Keep track of your dog.
That is someone that would be a great cat.
We've had him.
You've had him. He's fantastic.
He was a
We
riot.
had so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
We went to his tasting salon in Yountville, and we laughed the whole time. It was a blast. It was so much fun. His story about the police officer that pulled him over.
Yes, the beautiful
police officer with the long blonde hair.
Oh, yeah, he makes everything so glamorous.
I feel
right?
like we all just need to go hang out, but we need like a pet talk.
Oh.
Like, I'm not feeling pretty today. Like
Yeah,
I just need
go
to
see him.
around him.
And he makes you feel like you're the most beautiful person in the world. I do.
It's
Yeah,
so
he was
great.
a blast. So.
Do you have? You want another one?
No. Up to you, Hilma.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll throw one in there. Police were told to be on the lookout for a drunk cyclist heading from Crane Avenue to Silverado Trail at noon.
At noon, a
At
drunk
noon.
cyclist at noon.
You know, he started early, or she. It does not say gender.
I mean, this is like slightly graphic. A group of kids reportedly went to a bathroom at a gas station and urinated everywhere.
Can't you see the 10-year-old boys doing that?
But I feel like that's
20-year-old
happening
boys.
every day. I feel like that's not like
a new thing.
Yeah.
Especially at a gas
It's
station.
been going on before my time.
So tell us about your.
From urination to.
You're urinating
It's a
habits?
good segue.
You know, this is my job. It doesn't quite work.
The segues are off today, but I was going to see, in your time, tell us about how you grew up and came into being in the distribution business, and you lived in Hawaii for a little bit, and
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I had a very untraditional journey into the wine business. And, I started out, I graduated high school at a really young age and then went to college at a very young age. And at the time, right before my 17th birthday, my parents got divorced and everyone went their separate ways. And I think I handled it very differently. And at the time, I didn't really have a choice. My parents had decided to just go one way. I didn't want to go the way they wanted to. I left school early, and then I ended up in Hawaii by the time I was 17.
Cool. On
my own completely, and moved to the North Shore of Oahu. It was a little surfer girl rat, in the way, right? I lived in my car. I was living on the North Shore. I was trying to figure it out. I got a job working as a waitress at a restaurant and taking the bus back and forth from the North Shore to Waikiki, the old company restaurant on Kuhio Avenue.
Cool. Okay.
That I think is still there. And I did it for 5 years. I did it for a long time, and I obviously jumped around in a couple other places, but that was really, I was in the restaurant business for 5 years. And I got lucky because I knew inherently, one of the things my parents did teach me, I'm Vietnamese. Mm-hmm. So my parents are Vietnamese immigrants and I'm first generation. It's just a really tough work ethic. And so I always try to take the positive from my parents versus, everyone has negative experiences. So you learn from a great deal, years of learning about yourself and being a leader, that it's more important to kind of just take the positive. And one thing I did learn from them was their work ethic. And I realized, I think at 25, I needed to do something else. And I met a really amazing guy who worked for Anheuser-Busch. And he was the director of marketing. And he said, he would come into the restaurant a lot. He was a regular. And I said, I want to get out of this business. I need to stop waitressing. And he was like, well, I have a job for you at Anheuser-Busch, but it's a day job and I'll start you at the bottom. And I said, okay, I'll take it. It was a merchandiser gig. I was making $8 an hour. And I moved off the North Shore. I moved to Kailua on Oahu. And I decided to, really sink my teeth into the beer world, right? And within a very short amount of time, I ended up being promoted into sales, and I did that for about 4 years. And then I segued into wine, and I jumped ship, and I went from Anheuser-Busch to Southern Wine and Spirits.
Wow! So you've seen all of the big guys.
Yeah, but I did it as we call it in the business, I carried the bag. So I did it the hard way, right? I hustled.
Yeah.
I hustled, and it was tough because I was a young girl trying to figure it out with no parental guidance. And of course, there's a source of other things that happened, which doesn't need to be discussed on this podcast. So it was a learning time for me. And at that time at Southern, when I wanted to move to the next level, I didn't have a college degree. So I hit a ceiling there as the Waikiki sales rep. And so I actually quit my role there and ended up starting my own brokerage firm. I started my own little PR company called Bouvier Productions. And I ended up meeting some business people, and serendipitously I bought this water company, this distribution company called Waiwera Water USA, and this New Zealand water company. And I ended up becoming their national sales manager for the country, which brought me to California, which was the first of many moves to California. When I got to California, I ended up, again, another serendipitous moment, meeting the Underwood family. And he brought me into his company to distribute Waiwera. And how that happened was very, very cool because I was going through, I was trying to build this business, this water business. And, I have to say, if you can sell water, you can sell anything.
Yeah.
And there was a lot to that time in my life. And I was trying to build this water business. I was broke. And Vern Underwood and Chris Underwood, who to this day I give them so much credit, they saw, I think, a light in a young woman, and they decided to bring me onto their company, and they actually bought my company out, which I thought it was really cool. And so I ended up, that's how I got into the actual real distribution in California. I became the vice president for national accounts. And
so they bought you, and then you got a great job.
Then I got a VP job out of
Cool.
it, right? And they believed in me. And so I moved up from there and moved up the system. And I'll never forget, Mr. Underwood always said, I'm going to give you an opportunity, but the rest is up to you. Which kind of led me, and I'll talk about it later, of why I am such a big supporter when it comes to women in wholesale, because I kind of was raised in that system. But I have really had to, you have to not listen to the negatives in your head, and you have to just believe that you can do it. And even though I was put up against a lot of individuals that probably had better training and a college education and more than I had, but what I had was tenacity and the stamina to get through it. Mm-hmm. And there were some tough days. And then, at 35, I became the youngest executive vice president, general manager to run a distributor. I ended up going back to Hawaii in the U.S., and that was a phenomenal 5 years. And, it was humbling because it was the first time I had overseen a huge organization. It was 200 employees. We were doing $100 million in revenue by the time I left. And it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal part of my life. But you get the tap in the shoulder. Your owner calls you and says, Philana, it's time for you. We want to promote you, but we're going to bring you back to California. And that was a very a pivotal moment for me to leave Hawaii after all these years of me growing up in Hawaii, then going to California, building my reputation, to go back to Hawaii, to run this distributor. And I actually thought I was done. I thought, okay, I can actually live and retire in this role as a GM when every single person in that country that ran a distributor was a man. And there's actually a great photo I can show you where I'm the only woman in that room. But I didn't realize it because I was just trying to survive and run a business, right? And it was everything. It was operations, finance, it was purchasing. I was doing all these different things at the same time. And then when I ended up moving back to California, I didn't really want to leave Hawaii. I took a big chance, a risk, but I decided to go for it. And I moved into a role to oversee new business development at the corporate level for the wholesaler. And that was 4 years of understanding new business. And that's how I got involved with Napa and my love of wine country and going to Napa and Sonoma every single week and knocking on people's doors for new business and trying to bring their business over to Young's at a corporate level. And I will say, if you want to learn to hustle, new business development and how you can develop your skills is really the place to be, because you have to take something and sell it to an already established organization and convince them to come over. And it is a long play. It doesn't have, right? We're like salespeople, you want the instant gratification. But for this, it's like 6, 12, 2, 3 years down the line, which ultimately served me for what I'm doing today. And then, of course, COVID happened. And obviously a few things happened during that time when I was at the distributor. We got purchased and acquired by R&DC. And I was faced with another challenge where I had to reapply for my role. And it was hard because I had already done every executive level at Young's. And then to have another organization come in and buy us, and then to have to re-interview
and tell you, hey, we're not sure we want you.
Work in the same
aspect
right.
you've been working on. Yeah.
And to be promoted in your life and then demoted and promoted. That period in my life, which was not that long ago, when I had to take that level down, was probably the hardest, I think, on one, humbling, but then I'll never forget my mentor gave me the greatest advice, and she said, you need to believe in yourself and put your head down and do the work, and you will get recognized for it. And ultimately I did. And they ended up, putting me in a great role, and I oversaw fine wine as a vice president for R&DC in 33 states. But by that time, after being through the system for 20 years, I also realized, and that was one of the things that the pandemic taught me, is that I could no longer affect the change that I wanted to and make the difference that I wanted to. Yeah. I was part of this machine, and I wanted to make change. And I wanted to make a difference for, and I had already done so much with women in wholesale and all the things that we were doing, all the initiatives. And that's when I met Carlton.
Wow. So before we get to that, because I'm curious about the Carlton story, but what in that that whole aspect you just talked, what do you think was the toughest part for you? Was it hard being that new young woman, saleswoman, doing all of the distribution and the what did you say earlier about when you were in
business development?
Yes. Or was it more in the higher executive levels? Like, what was more challenging?
I think the most challenging for me was the acquisition. in full transparency, because I had to prove myself after having to prove myself since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And so from 17 to 40, right? From 17, I'm 46. From 17 to 40, I had to prove myself, and I thought I was done proving myself.
Right.
And then this new entity comes in and says, no, you have to prove yourself again. And that to me was hard on me, but I am so glad I didn't react. And I'm so glad that I did not let my ego get in the way. Because so many times your ego does get in the way, and you just say, well, forget those people. You know what? I'm going to quit. I'm going to find something else better to do. Like, I don't need you. But what I decided to do after, and I had some really strong mentors around me, is learn as much as you can. There's a reason for it. Take advantage of the opportunity and show them what you can do, but then move up. And so it was a great lesson for me to kind of put my ego in check. I think that to me is one of the most humbling leadership experiences I ever had.
Amazing. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What advice would you give young Philana as she started working, left the company restaurant? What was it called again?
Old Company.
Old Company. She left the Old Company
Is that
restaurant.
the place famous for cheeseburgers?
No, I was thinking it was like down Hollywood Rose or something. Ribs.
No, they're known for their ribs.
I used to live on the at Sharks Cove, right?
Oh, really?
Katy Beach, so it's very near and dear to me.
Yes.
Great spot. But young Philana, she's just leaving the service industry and going into the beverage industry, if you will.
Yes.
What advice would you give her?
Oh my God. Stay positive. Don't listen to the noise. Because I think so much so as a young woman, you begin to fall, you do fall victim to everyone telling you what you can't do. Right? And what happens is you have very inconsiderate people in senior management that are very old school and that say, and that's why when I look at people and we hire people, I always look beyond the resume. You have to look at people's experiences and their life experience more than ever. Because on paper, I wouldn't be here, right? I'm not perfect, right? But my life experience has brought me to where I am today and why I am working, for such a great organization. So I would say, don't believe what everyone's saying on paper. Like, don't believe in the check.
Yeah.
Don't be a check in the block.
Cool.
And you're a big advocate now kind of for women and diversity, and you've started different organizations and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
so when I came over to California and I got my new business gig, I founded with a very small group of amazing women that were also owners of distributors across the country with the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America, and I was the founder for the Women's Leadership Council for WSWA, and that was to network and ensure that all women in wholesale had a support system and people to lean on and mentors to lean on, so that way they can build their careers and they can feel like they have someone to talk to, which is so important. And I really loved that time because I did it for 5 years. I was the vice chair and chair, and during that time it was only, I think, like less than 10 women. And now it's grown to over 100 so women represented in the wholesale. And there was no senior women represented in wholesale at that time. So that was an incredible experience. I learned about mentorship, learned how to put together programs, and also learned how to really increase networking skills for women. Because women, it's important that you go outside of your box and you network and not be afraid. And we used to always say this, and I say this today, don't wait to be invited to have a seat at the table. You just create your own table.
Oh, I like that.
Just, right. You don't need to be, and I think as women, we want to be invited, but for me, it's you create your own table. But once you have your seat, add value, right? Because it is our responsibility to add value. After that, during the pandemic, I co-founded Be the Change. Be the Change job fair is a phenomenal digital job fair. We did two job fairs where it was speed dating. We worked with a company called Brazen, and you were able during the pandemic to get a job without having to leave your house. And we invited all the wine and spirit companies to join in, and it was a phenomenal
Cool.
It was a phenomenal success. And what's so important about that is if you think about trying to get a job interview, if you come from a background where you don't have the financial capability to get on a plane, to go see that person, to the transportation and the costs associated with getting a job interview, we were able to pull that apart and take down that internal barrier. And you could interview, the employers could interview a span of 30 candidates in 2 hours, right? Versus doing 1 or 2 candidates a day. So we were able to create this digital job fair where it was like speed dating. And that, to me, that experience would be the change, was what gave me the confidence to finally realize that I could do more than what I was doing at the wholesaler. Now that I'm at Demeine Estates, we created another initiative called Dream It, Live It. Dream It, Live It is an action-oriented initiative that is centered around entrepreneurs in the wine space. So we just opened up applications, and it's for minority-owned businesses. They can be in business for at least a minimum of a year, and it's executive MBA training on the job. And we work with you to help whatever the business can be, a complement obviously to Demeine Estates. So you have to be in the wine business. And the first person we work with, who I love dearly, her name is Tish Wiggins. She has a company called Tish Around Town, and it's a travel company, and she's had it for a number of years. She's based in Dallas. She's a phenomenal human being. She reaches out to me, and she created the first Women in Wine, celebration of women in wine, where she brought out people across the diversity spectrum to visit our wineries, and we gave her access, because so much so people that don't get the opportunity is lack of access. And then I also opened up my roster to her, right? I introduced her to Remy Cohen, the president and CEO of Domaine Carneros, to Silver Oak. So it's not just about Demeine Estates, but it's about the whole spectrum, and introducing a diversity into the valley, which we don't unfortunately have a lot of. So it's about, we want to put it forward, and we really want to give back. That's important.
Very cool. I love that. I'm all inspired now.
Yeah, dream it, live it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's pretty simple. And it lives our values.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. Yeah. Do we want to jump back to the logs?
Sure. I have a funny one. Here, you guys continue to talk. I'll try to find it.
Well, I have a report of a truck with a horn sounding parked on Library Lane with a dog. I think the dog was honking the horn. There's also a report complaining of a very lonely dog barking for hours.
I like how they quantify what the dog is feeling.
Well, I like that. So what quantifies a lonely dog?
Sad looking, mangy, upset.
I don't know. I mean, Wallace gives me sad eyes sometimes.
He does. This is a funny San Leandro Police Department post that was sent to me from a couple days ago. This would be in August. Possession of a controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia. On the 13th of August at 6:55 p.m., Officer Stevenson checked on a occupied suspicious silver Lexus parked on Dowdell. A 42-year-old Napa resident was contacted and consented to a search of his vehicle. Very first problem.
Wow.
Just don't consent. Which resulted in the seizure of drug paraphernalia and 2 misdemeanor charges. And then this is the key right here. If you're traveling through our beautiful city, please don't bring a meth pipe or illegal drugs with you.
Wow.
That's my favorite.
Not don't do drugs. Just leave them at
Leave them at
home.
home.
Yeah, don't do. Yeah, great. Exactly.
Don't bring your meth pipe.
Don't bring your meth pipe.
Like everyone carries one. That's like.
So I think
like everyone has that at home in the
Yeah,
car.
that's just
we can learn a few things from that. We don't need that in San Leandro.
But I like that this is the official St. Helena Police Department Facebook page.
Oh, that's official.
It's official. We don't. Yeah, we don't need the San Leandro, and also don't consent to a search if you have a meth pipe in your car.
Oh my gosh. How's this one? A caller was concerned that people weren't seeing the stop sign at Spring and Main. Wow, that caller does not have a job.
Have you ever seen Next Door?
Yes.
You're busy, but
Yes. Yeah, I see it's interesting what's on there, right? I get the tags all the time.
It is rough.
It is entertainment.
I recently joined just to see what was going on, and I cannot.
Well, thank goodness I don't have to screenshot them to you.
I cannot stop the emails from coming. They keep coming about.
Oh, I had to turn off the notifications.
It's awful.
It's
I've
awful.
done that.
I've continued to try.
There'll be 73 comments.
It's horrible.
I know people aren't working right now. They're working from home.
Neither do you. Gosh, your work schedule is crazy. You get to work at what time in the morning?
I get up every morning at 4:30, but I actually like it. I also go to bed very early. So but I enjoy work. I mean, to me, it's a great. That's what I do for a living.
Nice.
So it's.
And one of the benefits of working for the Lawrence family, you get to live at the trail site. Right?
Generously, yes, they allow me to reside temporarily, unless I stop making the numbers. Yes, at the Heights Trail site.
So how do you like living in Rutherford?
It's I will say living on a winery. I mean, there's a lot of critters that come into the house, especially because it's so hot right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. All the friends. It's very dark. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of coyotes at night. Exciting. It's not as romantic as people think it is.
Oh no, we live straight in the country.
Yeah, we live in the country.
We live in the country.
And the nightlife in St. Helena is, I think everyone's done by 7:30, 8 o'clock. Yeah.
So your perfect night in St. Helena, like what restaurant are you going to?
Oh.
What wine are you drinking?
Oh, I love this question. I love Rutherford Grill, actually. It's just so easy. I actually eat there a lot, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just easy because I can get in there.
We've all got the menu memorized.
Yeah, it's super simple. But I do love mustards. I actually am a huge mustards fan, but I can't just walk in there. Right, it's loud and there's a lot going on, but we love mustards. It's one of our favorite restaurants. I love Bouchon. I love Bichot Gentil. I mean, we love all the restaurants out here. I'm a big fan. I love Auberge for drinks.
Cool. How does Auberge for drinks work? Can you just roll up there? I've never actually gone.
Yeah, you can. Oh, we gotta go. Let's go.
Because you don't need a reservation.
They have a whole outdoor bar area.
Yeah. Is it a proper bar?
It's like a patio.
Seats? Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They have great French fries and pizza.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Which I love.
Okay.
That.
Add that to the list.
And champagne and French fries are like my number one.
Cool.
It's
my number one
super
thing.
easy.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm blessed. I have some really wonderful girlfriends here. And we, it's tight, right? I mean, I think St. Helena is such a beautiful community and very warm and friendly. But it's you have to have a community here, right? It does, of course. I think people keep to themselves, and it's quiet, which is nice.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And your husband Rob, we got to meet.
Yes. I gotta give Rob a shout out.
I got a little bit of a man crush.
I love this.
He's like my hero. He's a private jet pilot flying all over the country and having a great life, and then he comes and hangs out with you half a month, and then kite surfs the rest of it, right?
Yes, my husband has it figured out. So he's a private pilot, naval. Former Navy, so went to Annapolis and lives most of the time on Oahu and Lani Kai. Mm-hmm. He's a kite surfer and wind winger.
That is the place for kite surfing.
That's the place for it. He has a great balance in his life. He doesn't get stressed. It's really, I mean, you've met him, obviously. He's got a beautiful smile and super easygoing, so he makes life really easy. It's nice that he's not in the wine business as well, because he has, I think, a very innocent view on the wine business. So he loves to go to wine tastings, and he loves doing all of those things. And he's very sweet. So I got very lucky. I actually got very lucky.
Now I want to hear the story. You told us this before. Can you, if you can? How did you meet Rob?
Yes. So he came to an event that I was hosting when I was the general manager at the distributor. And he came with a friend, and he was at a party. He was just at this event, and I saw him from across the room, and I beelined and went right to him, and who wouldn't? He's a super tall, good-looking guy. And the first thing I said to him was like, "Hey, are you single?"
I love it.
I didn't even say hi. I didn't even give him my name. I'm just like, "Are you single?" I'm very no nonsense and direct, and he was like, "I'm single." And I'm like, "Great, let's go out." And that was it.
History.
No games. Which was amazing.
Fantastic.
Think about the games we play when we were dating.
I don't.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, there's just no.
There's no time for that.
I do not have time for that. There's no point for it. I don't have time to waste.
Right.
So.
The guy waits 3 days before he calls the girl. We didn't do any of that. No, I was just like,
don't waste my time. I'm not going to waste your time. And
right.
That's it.
It was so great. And it's been 10 years we've been together. It's been a complete. I mean, it's like every day is like the first day with him. He's very, very cool to be around. But I love that. Nice. We have you both as friends, and he loves you both too. He was like, "Say hi." He wanted to be here. He's hanging out on the beach, of course. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
Next time we can go to the beach.
Oh, yes.
We're trying to just
you should do it.
Do on site.
We're going to do this podcast in Hawaii.
How we do.
That sounds great. Is that in the budget?
So Space A, and he'll know what Space A is available on the PJ going back to your walker.
That's right. The PJ,
Yeah.
what is it? P3 Orion.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we can do Space. Yeah, that's right. What did he fly again?
P3 Orion.
He flew P3s,
yeah, and now
cool.
he flies a G5, but in the Navy he flew P3 Orion.
Way cool. Yeah.
They both sound great.
It just gets you from A to B.
I don't speak plane or boat, but
In our show notes, we'll put pictures of the G5 P3 Orion for the listeners out there. So.
Aww.
That's perfect. So, where can we go to learn more about the distribution that Demeine does,
I love
your
it.
company, and then the rest of the Lawrence family wines?
Yes, so please go to our DemeineEstates.com
Cool.
website. It has everything there. We also have a beautiful new website called LawrenceWineEstates.com, which is run by obviously the direct team, and they do a phenomenal job. We have a best-in-class digital team. And then, of course, over at Demeine is also, it's the best brand team in the industry. It truly is the best.
Nice.
I would put them up against anyone, and I'm very proud. And our sales team is phenomenal as well. And we're continuing to grow and invest, and it's the sky's the limit for us. So we're very excited.
Nice. Well, we're looking forward to coming by your office and just making sure there's no
Yes.
injured squirrels or funny
yeah.
smells.
Yes.
And some champagne. We
Yes.
pick up some champagne. That's important. So shout out to LeGrand Haas.
Perfect.
Yay! Well, thanks for
Well, thanks,
coming.
everybody.
This is great.
Thank
let's-
you.
I was gonna
Well,
say-
here, there we go. Cheers.
You all are awesome. Thank you so much. Aloha and mahalo.
Mahalo.
Yay!
All right, Hillary, did you enjoy the episode with Philana?
I absolutely loved it. She's a treasure of a person.
She
I know
is.
that's your word, but I just felt it fit.
You are also a treasure, Hillary.
Wow. I feel like a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, but maybe that's because I have red hair.
There's nothing I could do to follow that up. That was extraordinary. Well, thank you guys for listening. I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast.
And don't forget to get a hat.
Tune in next time and order a hat from Hillary.
Bye!
Enjoy your evening and be safe.